Jai Guruji Maharaj, Shukrana Guruji Maharaj. With folded hands and gratitude in my heart, I bow to the lotus feet of a beloved Guruji. With His divine grace and due permission, I would like to start the reading of chapter 64, Satsang number 60 from the Holy Mahagranth, Holy Book, Light of Divinity. Meera meets Guruji and becomes his. When Mrs. Meera met Guruji, she had an acute problem in her spinal cord. The vertebrae had fused together, creating gaps within the cord. She felt as if a nerve was being pressed from the spine to the right leg, causing great pain. Doctors also noticed that her right leg had started weakening, losing muscle weight. Meera began wearing a belt to support her back, but even then she could not sit for more than 15 minutes at a stretch. During initial visits to Guruji, Meera would carry some pillows with her to sit for the entire satsang, but Guruji noticed her bringing the pillows and asked her not to do so. She tried to smuggle them in, but was reprimanded sternly, so she sat down on the floor and could do so for hours. Meera met Guruji on 3rd April 1995 at Greater Kailash, New Delhi. Guruji asked her what she wanted cured. Apprised of the problem, he immediately said, "Let's do the operation." Meera was frightened. Guruji only took her to a room, placed a spoon on the affected body parts and bent her neck with great force to the left and right. Meera felt agonizing pain. As she recovered, Guruji said he would treat her leg in Jalandhar. After Guruji's treatment, Meera's spinal cord problem vanished. But she still had pains in her joints. The fingers of her hands had swollen and the joints looked like big knots. Meera told the Sadguru about the problem one day. Guruji talked to her and began rubbing her hands. Meera, engrossed in talking with Guruji, did not notice this. She kept on talking about what a problem her hands were. Finally, Guruji interrupted her and told her to take a look at her hands. They were all that she could have wished for. The fingers had become lean and tapering, the joints were not paining, and all this had occurred without her noticing it. Guruji had once told Meera that he would not let her die, that he had given her 10 years more of life. He would keep saving her and would transfer her diseases. His words have proven true innumerable times. Removing a stone-filled gallbladder. Meera suffered from severe pain in the abdomen. A medical investigation revealed that Meera's gallbladder was packed with stones. The large ones were more than half an inch thick. Doctors started her medication but told her that surgery was the only lasting solution. Guruji was in Jalandhar and advised Meera to go for the operation when he returned to Delhi. She told him she could not bear the severe pain. Guruji put his hand on the spot and the pain ended. Meera waited for Guruji to return to Delhi and then got the surgery done. Her gallbladder was removed successfully. A host of health problems afflicted Meera. Her sugar level remained in constant flux, going up and down whimsically. As a result, her left eye began to get affected and there was significant vision loss. Meera went to the Sir Gangaram hospital and got an angiography of the eye done. It showed leakages. The doctor said the eye should be operated upon within a week. It was a Tuesday and Meera, not wishing to take any step without Guruji's approval, told doctors she would ask her husband about the date. The attending doctor said it was her eye that mattered, not the husband's. But steadfast Meera went to Guruji. The Sadguru picked up one of the many garlands lying at his feet and gave it to her. When her eye was tested, the doctors were stunned. It had healed of its own accord. No tests were required. There was no question of surgery. Cancer patches on X-ray disappear. Guruji's grace fell on Meera's husband too. There was a white patch inside his mouth. Doctors strongly suspected cancer but waited for a biopsy to confirm the diagnosis. The couple meanwhile went to the Safdarjung hospital where doctors said more or less the same thing. Meera hurried to Guruji with her problem and he said, "Mauj kar, be carefree." Meera was surprised, but Guruji's words were meant by way of bestowing a blessing. The biopsy showed no patches in the mouth, yet the previous X-ray done at 2 a.m. the night before still showed the patches. Doctors were confounded. The patches had disappeared overnight. Meera's joy knew no bounds. Guruji does everything immediately for her, says this lady of faith. A return to consciousness. Meera's husband, Mr. Kapoor, who runs a wholesale garment business, had to travel to the Punjab to collect some payments. He booked his 2 and 4 ticket for travel on the Shatabdi. But when he reached Jalandhar railway station with money in hand, there was too much fog. He abandoned his plan to travel by train and decided to take a bus to Delhi. He phoned up his home and said he would reach by 10:30 p.m. The next phone call that Meera received was from the Kashmiri Gate police station at 1 a.m. at night. The policeman said her husband had been found lying unconscious inside a bus that was going to the depot. Meera asked her brother-in-law, who was with her, to confirm the identity of the caller. The policeman said Mr. Kapoor was in no condition to talk to her and they were taking him to Hindu Rao Hospital. When the distressed family arrived at the hospital, they were disappointed at the care being provided. They decided to shift him to a private hospital. He still did not gain consciousness. Meera approached Guruji, who told her that nothing had happened to her husband and that she should not worry. After the Sadguru's statement, her husband tried to speak a few words at the hospital. Doctors tried to shake him up. When he regained consciousness fully, doctors told Meera to stay by her husband's side for 3 months continuously, as he could have temporary blackouts. Meera knew this was an impossible request to meet because she had to be at the garments shop they ran. Guruji, however, told her that she was not required to be at his side and that her husband was fully okay. So it was. He suffered no blackouts at all. It turned out that Kapoor had been befriended by a fellow passenger on the bus. The passenger had given him some biscuits and had some himself too. The next thing Kapoor knew was a hospital room. The family was disappointed. They had lost a lot of money, but Guruji said their problems had gone and they shouldn't worry. He would provide more. Meera says time has proved that his munificence has exceeded expectations and met more than their needs. Miracles on pilgrimages to Guruji. Kapoor, Meera and her mother-in-law were going to Chandigarh to have Guruji's darshan. They reached at night and Guruji told them to return that same night. They left for Delhi at around 2 at night, apprehensive because of the prevailing terrorism. Their anxiety increased as the Chandigarh-Ambala stretch of the highway had been closed and they had to go through Panchkula. It was an eerie night with not a soul being seen on the dark, unlit road that cut a swathe through the fields. Meera prayed hard to Guruji for directions. Her mother-in-law was mildly caustic, wondering how Guruji could help them out in the middle of nowhere. Just then, two men emerged out of the fields. They were on a motorcycle and had huge beards. Meera asked her husband to stop the car so that she could ask them the distance to the highway. They said it was just 13 kilometers away. Meera protested that there was no signboard and it was such a lonely road. How could the highway be only 13 kilometers away? She asked the question again. To her and her mother-in-law's fear, the latter was suspecting these men to be terrorists. One of the men came close to Meera and repeated in a deep voice that it was indeed 13 kilometers. Hardly had they traveled more than 200 meters when they came across a signpost saying 13 kilometers. And exactly 13 kilometers later, the road came out in front of Prince Hotel and they were on the highway. Who had came out of the fields in the dead of night to tell them the distance to the highway. Guruji goes to have chart. Though Guruji's help can be obvious at times, mostly it works in mysterious ways his wonders to perform. It is quite futile to cudgel your brains to understand his actions or his words. The following experience shows that his outer actions are connected to working out his disciples' karma. At least that is what he would have us understand for now. Who knows what he truly does? Guruji had asked Meera and Mrs. Sabharwal to go to Bade Mandir, a distance of around 20 kilometers from Gurgaon, where they lived. They were doing so regularly. One evening, as they were travelling to the temple, they noticed Guruji's white Contessa car parked outside Bristol Hotel. They rushed over to him. Guruji was in an affable mood and they pressed their advantage, talking to him for over half an hour at the spot. Then Guruji expressed a desire to have chaat and the Sangat was taken to Manesar at Haldiram's, a popular eating joint. Guruji chose to rest on the lawns at Haldiram's. He lay down with the Sangat making quite a fuss over him. They took out their handkerchiefs and fanned him. A chunni became his pillow. A doctor standing nearby, such as Guruji's sport, came over to the group. He wanted to know if the group needed any medical help, for the man lying on the ground did not seem okay. He was assured that everything was all right and turned away. Meanwhile, chaat had been brought. As it was being rapidly consumed, Guruji called Meera. She remembers being questioned quite closely and in great detail about all her family members. Where were her daughter and son-in-law? When were they expected back? She told Guruji that the couple were in Manali and would return soon. Soon the excursion was over and everyone went home happy. It was a month later that the real reason for the Haldiram visit became known. Meera's daughter and her son-in-law had an accident while their new car was at a red light. A truck rammed the vehicle from the rear. The car was smashed. Meera's daughter called her mother up and prayed that she communicate the mishap to Guruji. Meera rushed to Empire Estate late at night. She found Guruji standing inside the hall as if waiting for her. She told him that an accident had occurred and Guruji told her where it had occurred at a Greater Kailash roundabout. She told him that her son-in-law was being taken to AIIMS when Guruji gently reminded her that they were going to the Vasant Kunj-based Spinal Cord Injury Center, as indeed her daughter had called up to tell her at the last minute. A worried Meera was slow to realize that it was Guruji who was giving her all the details of the accident. The omnipotent master had let no hurt come to his devotees' children. Though her son-in-law's face had swollen, he had no pain and there was no internal injury. Meera was told that at the time of the accident, Guruji kept walking inside his room. She says he took her son-in-law's pain upon himself and he told her, "I am with you, don't be afraid." Meera says that Guruji had foreseen the accident a month ago during the chaat excursion and that by merely asking about her family, he had prevented certain disaster. Queer appearances at a garment shop. Guruji puzzled Meera by showing up at their shop in Karol Bagh. He came to take away their troubles or to give them something, but never did he come in the form they so loved. He took money to take away bad karma and showered prosperity on them. To Meera's never-ending consternation, they could never recognize him. The Kapoors ran their wholesale business from a first-floor shop at Karol Bagh. One morning, a stranger came in. He offered his visiting card and said that he wanted some change. Meera, who was sitting at the shop, said they were wholesale garment dealers and didn't keep change. However, Mr. Kapoor decided to help out and sent one of his employees to a nearby bank with a Rs 6,400 check that was to be encashed. The man went inside the bank. The employee waited outside. And he kept on waiting, returning only when the guard at the bank told him that he had never seen the man go in. The employee returned to the shop. When he gave out the details, Meera felt exceedingly foolish that they, experienced business folk, had been cheated by a stranger. She told Guruji, who said their problems had been taken away. He even admitted that it was he who had taken away their money. Another time, a tall man whose head nearly touched the ceiling came and preened inside the shop. He was wearing a rough belt on his waist. Taking him for a vagabond, Meera asked him to go away. Her employee said that he looked like Bholenath, the Lord of the Innocent, a title of Lord Shiva, and Meera deigned to give him 2 rupees. She repeated a command that the man go away. He did. The entry and exit of the stranger went unnoticed by the guard. In the evening, when Meera went to Guruji's, she was embarrassed. The Sadguru told her that she had given him only 2 rupees when he had come to her shop. It was Guruji's hukum that Meera sit at the shop. Though she felt she was not trained to do so, she followed his order. Later, Guruji went to Jalandhar. Meera would remember him a great deal and weep in front of his photograph. She also used to read the holy Shiv Puran and tell her beads, chanting Om Namah Shivay, Shivji Sada Sahay and Om Namah Shivay, Guruji Sada Sahay. Whenever they would feel Guruji's rosy fragrance pervading the shop's interiors, the couple would get a change of clothes from their house nearby and leave for Jalandhar. During one such visit to Jalandhar, Guruji told her not to remember him so much and not to cry. He also advised her to do more of the Shivji Sahay mantra. Thanks to her constant remembrance, Guruji continued to visit her shop. Once a man dressed like an ascetic came to her shop. He said he wanted to give her a rosary or mala. When she put out her hands, he asked her to bow and put the mala on her neck. He also advised her to always keep the rosary with her. Later, when her grandson was born, Guruji paid them another visit in disguise. This time it was to give a bangle for the newborn. He gave a similar bangle to Meera. When Meera had started going to the shop, she had put up Guruji's photo there, but Guruji had not allowed it, she says, and she had put it back at home. After 5 months of her going to the shop, he allowed her to put the photo in her shop. Meera says their shop started doing well and their earlier losses were made up. Guruji even helped Mr. Kapoor keep his word. One day, Kapoor promised a certain man that he would pay him the rupee 3 lakh due to him that day itself. Meera pointed out that the shop didn't even have 1/6 of that amount in cash, but her husband said that he had also been promised 2 payments and they would make up the sum required. Kapoor went to collect the money. One man asked him to come back a week later, another postponed the payment for a day. Moneyless, Kapoor petitioned Guruji while walking in front of the Karol Bagh Gurudwara. If he could not keep his word, it would be a matter of disrespect for Guruji, not him. Firmly turning over the matter to Guruji, Kapoor returned to his shop. After some time, the shopkeeper above their shop sent them a customer. The man was from Jalandhar and needed certain things. All these were to be found in Kapoor's shop, and the customer happily made payment of these without even bothering to check the raw material he was buying. The sum easily covered the payment Kapoor had to make. That evening, when the Kapoors came for the Sangat, Guruji addressed Meera. "What's the matter?" Meera recalls him as saying, "Your husband preached to me on the footpath with rose garland, shop is fireproofed." Once when Meera had gone with her sister-in-law to Guruji's place, he asked his sister-in-law to pick up a rose garland from the heap of flowers offered to him. He then instructed her to sanctify some water with the garland and sprinkle the holy water all over the shop. But the next day was a Monday and the sister-in-law was loath to open the shop for the express purpose of sprinkling some water on it. Meera told her that it was best to act as directed by Guruji rather than apply their own logic to his words. A month later, a fire raged over the Karol Bagh market. All the shops were burnt. Meera says the flames singed the shop below them. The blaze was so fierce that the ceiling fans melted, but the devotee's garment shop was safe. The fire had seemingly recoiled from near the garment shop as the wind started blowing in the opposite direction. The rose garland, blessed by Guruji, had protected their shop. Kapoor's switch business on his advice. The Kapoor's business wasn't doing so well. Mr. Kapoor had a plan to turn his fortune around. He wanted to import material from China which would help him cut costs. Guruji was approached for approval. Guruji told him not to start right away and that he would tell him the right time. After 3 months, Guruji gave Meera prasad of cardamom seeds and misri, crystallized sugar lumps. He told her to eat it while sitting inside the shop. They were also permitted to start the new business after they told Guruji the name of the man in China with whom they were to do business. Guruji said he was a good man. They did business worth crores with this man sitting in China over the last 5 years, and till date they have not met each other. There has been no loss either. Another time, Mr. Kapoor was in Chandni Chowk, one of the most congested areas in Delhi, with a great deal of money in his briefcase. He kept the briefcase on top of another car while trying to enter his own vehicle with ease. Then he came home. At home, he discovered that he had not brought the briefcase with him. He was distraught since it contained a lot of money. He immediately went back, though he knew that the briefcase would have disappeared by now. To his amazement, the case was still on top of the car that he had put it on. When in the evening he met Guruji, the master simply said, "Did you find the bag?" Reaching out with grace. It was not just Meera who benefited from Guruji's care and protection. Her family did. So did a worker in a nearby shop. So did the head of a department of medicine. The Kapoors had gone to a nearby shop and they started doing satsang. Guruji's tales so impressed the worker of the shop, a devotee of the mother, that he made up his mind to go to Guruji, who was then in Jalandhar. He took directions from the Kapoors and after short hours set out. He reached Guruji, who wanted to know who had sent him. After he was told of the same, Guruji hugged him for reasons best known to him. He then sent the man back to Delhi. Now, this man led a troubled domestic life as his brothers fought among themselves. When he came back home, he told his wife that he felt as if all his problems would go away. And that was what happened. The brothers squabbling over property did exactly as he suggested. A locker that contained the family jewelry was opened and the treasure divided among the brothers. The shop worker found a pearl garland. A brief note attached to it said it should be given to one who most deserved it. The worker immediately thought of Guruji. He went one day to Jalandhar and sat at the Sangat wondering whether to give the garland to Guruji or not. He was quite taken aback when Guruji came before him and asked why he was vacillating. Guruji then asked him to hand the garland over to him. Everyone had been impressed by Meera's quick recovery from her joint problems. The doctor treating her, head of the Department of Orthopedics in Safdarjung Hospital, had seen the recovery take place. She herself suffered from severe joint pains. She found it difficult to do her rounds. Meera suggested that she go to Guruji. She did and returned with his blessing. Soon Meera heard from her. The doctor was calling her up to tell her that she had just taken a round of a ward without feeling any pain. The doctor said she was still wondering whether it was she who had taken the round. As Meera tuned into Guruji, she found that her entire family was getting blessed. Her sister-in-law was among the first ones. She had a tenacious cold that would usually be accompanied with a migraine. Even her ears would give off water. Her hearing had already been damaged. Meera and she went to Guruji together, and the cold and the migraine vanished. Her hearing improved. But at the same time, the sister-in-law's son Ankur was losing his vision. He was only 4 years old. The problem was put before Guruji and he gave his blessings. He asked Meera's sister-in-law to put honey in Ankur's eyes. The mother knew that applying honey to the eyes hurt a lot and was reluctant. She was prevailed upon and found that Ankur felt no pain at all when the honey was applied. Guruji told them to get Ankur's eyes tested. Sure enough, the eyesight had improved by leaps and bounds. One who grants God's darshan. Meera's brother had retired from the army. A devotee of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, he used to visit the saints with only one hope in mind, that they grant him darshan of the Lord. After Meera had been to Guruji, she called him up and told him about the Sadguru. He willingly came to the Sangat. Guruji immediately called him Mama, maternal uncle, and asked him to wish for something. The spiritual aspirant asked for Guruji's meher or grace. Guruji again insisted that he ask for something, and the aspirant revealed his great desire to see God. Guruji merely said, okay. 3 days later, Meera's brother had a vision at home. His lifelong quest was realized. He had seen God. At a devotee's mere request, Guruji was able to grant him the darshan of the Almighty. Who then is he? One answer comes from Meera's father himself. Meera reports that her father used to say that Guruji is not an ordinary guru or saint who gains control of some powers, siddhis, and then displays these to astonish the world and win over devotees. Guruji is a form of divine light. Mr. Kapoor too had Guruji's darshan. Kapoor, who was educated in Banaras, the city of Lord Shiva, saw in a dream that he was at Banaras's Vishwareshwara temple. The door of the temple opened and he saw Guruji. His gaze fell to his feet where he saw Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. Guruji was told of the dream. He told Kapoor that the devotee had his darshan. Master of Home Affairs. Meera had been living all the time in a joint family in the Karol Bagh home, but Guruji insisted that the Kapoors move to Gurgaon. So on 25th March 2003, she did. She wondered whether she should have a religious ceremony to sanctify the new house, but Guruji did away with all that. The Sadguru simply asked her to enter the house with his photograph first. Since then, his presence has been more than amply felt in the Kapoor household. The very first time it happened was when Meera was complaining to Guruji in her mind that she was lonely. Though her maidservant had told Meera that a neighbor adjacent to her flat was interested in striking up a relationship, Meera did not make the first overture. But the neighbor came in one day and they began talking. The drawing room conversation soon focused on Guruji. Soon, Meera had a friend. Guruji was in the know of what was happening. He immediately asked Meera on her arrival at the Sangat whether she had made a Saheli, lady friend. Meera was amazed that Guruji knew what was happening at her home, and it was not just the drawing room that was visible to Guruji's omniscient eye. Once Meera and her husband were having a trivial early morning dispute. In the evening, Guruji phoned up the couple. He spoke to Kapoor, asking him why he had fought with Meera in the morning. Before a stunned Kapoor could frame a response, Guruji said the same to Meera. Though it was a minor disagreement, Guruji had pounced on it, proving how intimate his knowledge of home affairs was. Always, Meera felt his presence as if Guruji was reassuring her in her new home. Once she was sleeping when someone pressed her shoulder blade strongly. She turned her head to look back. No one was there. Another time, she was doing her puja when she felt someone touch her from behind on one and then the other shoulder. She wanted to dismiss it as her imagination when she saw the curtain in her puja move slightly, as if a breeze had passed through. She asked Guruji mentally whether it was him. Sure enough, during the Sangat, he told her not to worry, it was him. Snakes in the house. Meera was thrilled every time by Guruji's visitations, but she was terrified when she found snakes in her bathroom. It is a highly improbable occurrence, for the Kapoor home is located in a modern apartment complex. All the 3 bathrooms are tiled and no one has ever reported sighting snakes in the area. Yet, day after day, as soon as Meera would go for her bath in the tub, the snakes would be there. Very small ones, nearly 4 of them every day. She was terrified. She would pray to Guruji before stepping into her bathtub but the snakes would still come and she would stamp them out. She wanted to get the bathtub removed and asked her husband to do it. And there the matter hung. So she mentioned the affair to Guruji, who said she was a very lucky person. She replied that she was a very frightened person. Guruji then asked her what she wanted. She said she wanted to remove the bathtub and the snakes to disappear. With Guruji's permission, she ordered the removal of the bathtub. Those who came to remove the tub were cautioned that there were snakes inside the bathroom. They laughed it off. Meera kept checking to see whether the snakes were appearing as the tub was being removed, but the snakes had completely disappeared. The phenomenon has not been satisfactorily explained to this day. How come there were snakes in a modern housing complex? Why did only Meera see them? What did their appearance suggest? Where did they go? Only Lord Shiva knows. Satsang as narrated of Meera Kapoor, housewife and businesswoman. With this, first and foremost, I would like to seek forgiveness from our beloved Guruji for any mistake in the narration of this beautiful divine satsang. I would also like to seek forgiveness from each and every one of you for the same, and would like to invite you for the narration of next divine satsang from the holy book Light of Divinity. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you each and every one of you.